Okay, so welcome to the efRouting platform. This is what you'll see when you first log in. This is our main dashboard. So you'll see there's a lot of different things to click on, and you'll get to understand more about what this dashboard is doing for you later on in other videos. But for now, I'm just going to take you straight into searching for loads, as that'll be what you're going to be most familiar with coming from other sorts of load boards and platforms where you use to find loads. The difference here with efRouting versus other systems, other platforms, other load boards is that we really focus in on helping you make better decisions on which loads to focus on by using our analysis of the market and our algorithms to then tell you, based on today, based on this trailer type that you have and where you're coming from, these are the recommended lanes for you and where we see people performing the best on the market right now. So what you'll see when you first get into the load search and you punch in the city that you're coming from with the trailer type you have is recommendations for where to go. And these are based on three factors that we have here on the right. They're scored out of 100. They're also color coordinated, which you can pull down and see that menu showing you how the colors relate to the different scores. But essentially it's just telling you that for each of these lanes, we've scored them based on how much potential there is to make a profit. So looking at what people have been actually getting paid for that lane in the last few days versus the mileage, assuming your cost per mile is close to the average, then we give that score there. And then ease of booking is just a score given based on the competitiveness of the market in that area. So how many trucks are in the area, how quickly loads are getting posted and then being booked. And then the last score here, lane connectivity, is essentially just telling you an idea of what the future will look like for you once you get to that destination in terms of finding another good load out of there. So we want to be making sure that we're going to places where we're going to get loaded out of and not having to deadhead out of or have downtime while we're waiting to find a load because there aren't many. So that one's important as well. So with these recommendations, you have a quick idea of, if you don't have any interest in going in any particular direction out of Atlanta, you just want to make a good operating decision, this is a good place to start. If you have more preferences on where you want to go or how you want to operate, you can change these recommendations. So instead of looking at just the recommendations from the system based on these scores, you can look at what are the highest paying lanes. So highest revenue doesn't mean highest profit. These are paying well because they're higher mileage. But in the end, you're not going to make much profit based on what we see out there on the market. You can look at lanes that are just longer driving times. You can look at shorter driving times. You can just look at what lanes are going to get me into a place that has the most connectivity to other good lanes. You can also sort through and remove lanes that are in regions that you don't want to see or focus in on just a certain region you want to get to. Same for states. And finally, if you want to look into the future a little bit, you can quickly see wherever that destination is, what the options might be once you get there for the next lanes that you'll have the ability to book into. So if I'm in Atlanta right now and I decide I want to think about going to Warrenton, Virginia, but first I want to think about what my options will be when I get there, all I do is come over here to this button, next lane. I'm going to see the lanes out of Warrenton, Virginia. So then I have an idea if I were to go from Atlanta to Warrenton, my next options will be places like Boston, Lewiston, Albany, and then maybe going back south to Savannah, Tallahassee. So that just gives you a quick idea of what that option would be like for you. Also, if you have an idea of a destination that you want to compare, you can just type that in here, and now it's going to add that and give it some scores. So you can see that in comparison to the other lanes. So I typed in Chicago. So Atlanta to Chicago, it doesn't look as profitable as these other lanes. It's paying around less than $1,000 for 745 miles. Of course, there are a lot of loads from Atlanta to Chicago, so it will be pretty easy to book one of those loads. And also, of course, once you get to Chicago, you'll be well connected to other lanes. But if you can't get high enough revenue for that lane, then you're not likely to make much profit. So it might be a better idea to think about these other recommended lanes instead. Finally, after you've considered this analysis of the market and where you might want to go, you can punch in up to 3 destinations into the search bar here and click search. And now you've got a live load board view. And in the next video, I'll show you how this load board works, all the details of it, and then we'll go from there.